Join Charlie Maloof as he explores the personal journeys of Broad River Retail's very own memory makers. Welcome to Stories from the River.
Chris, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you on here.
Thank you, sir. I'm excited about this.
I've been looking forward to having this conversation. So before we get going, I know you got a background before you joined us. Tell us a little bit about your background prior to coming to the river.
Well, I started in the restaurant business at an early age, age 13. So I did that for about 30 plus years, and got into management, probably after the first 20, did that. I was successful, and then decided to jump out to ownership, and got my tail kicked. This is when the economy took a nosedive in 2008 and 9. So I had to pivot. I had to figure it out. This was a moment of prove it. So I hunted for a job for literally 6 months, and was able to find a job at a country club off Craigslist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So I was able to work there for about 3 or 4 years, and then had to make a change, and started hunting for a job again, which was scary, because I'm a father, father of two, divorced father of two, and so there were 2 jobs that I had a shot at. One was in food sales, and one was with you guys, and you chose me.
Wow!
So I was blessed.
And you've been with us now nearly 9 years.
Yes, sir.
And so take us through your career arc since you joined the river.
Well, October 2013 is when I started. I became a sales manager in 2017 with Renee Bradley at Pineville. We switched over to Mooresville. I followed her, fell in love with that woman. Just her passion and the way she helped everybody, mentored them, that mother figure, which was awesome. And I needed that, I think, at that time. And then became, sales manager at Mooresville. And I became so driven during that time. I wanted us to succeed, and that was Renee and I. I wanted to go for it. I had something to prove, and so did she. And we crushed it. We broke records that year. And that opportunity presented itself after that. She basically kicked me out of the nest, and I ended up as the RPM at Hickory, and that lasted 2 months. I earned my right to become a GM, and through that RPM GM tenure, we were able to win 13 months in a row. Incredible. Right before COVID hit.
And set amazing records in Hickory.
Proud of them.
Yeah.
Proud of them.
So then COVID hits, and then where?
Well, I ended up getting a call to come to Kannapolis. By the way, I was driving an hour and a half back and forth, so it was a grind.
Yeah.
So after that, and I think I was almost a year there, and then ended up at university back home. Full circle, and we worked there together. And I say we because it's all about the team. You're only successful as good. You're only as good as your team, and did that for 8 months. I'm going to backtrack. Kannapolis, first month I was there, we were able to win Yoda.
First time ever.
Yes. And then the 8 months at university in December, we were able to win it again. So be able to win at 2 different locations is special. And then now I'm a AGM. I was promoted beginning of this year.
Area manager, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So and you didn't mention this, but you started in sales at university.
Yes.
Then you went to be a sales manager in Pineville. Yeah, and then you were part of that magical year that we talked to Renee about in Mooresville.
I was so fired up for that. I was, I believed in that woman, and I knew we had a shot at doing something special. I remember the award ceremony. I leaned back when we were watching Kevin Kuhlman and his associates getting all the awards, and I leaned back and looked at her, and I said, "That's us next year."
Y'all made it happen.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was in 2018, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you didn't always have this like this seriousness about your career with us. I mean, if I recall correctly, we had a few interactions in university, and it was maybe a little bit more less serious. I didn't know if we were going to go there today, but we're there. So.
And I coached to that. I made a joke to you, and this was the year that you were really focused on VIP, and I looked you dead in the eye and said, "I don't need VIP. I close business anyway." Probably the dumbest thing I could ever said in my career here at this company. So I coached to that. I coach to all my HFCs and GMs to my weaknesses, of what I've overcome, and my mistakes.
Yeah. And we never held that against you. And sometimes, our own hubris gets
a lot
in
of
our own
grace.
ways. Yeah, that's right. But you've done an amazing job. I'm so proud to tell your story. Hey, do you remember your first day at the river? What can you tell us about it if you remember it?
It wasn't I felt like I was shoved in a closet almost. I was in an office, and we were watching those videos. So it tells me so much of how much the company has changed and how much we've evolved, and really, the book Power of Moments, where we're talking about the John Deere experience. We ran with that, and so we now have the boxes that all the
day one box.
They're awesome. Yeah. They're awesome, and everyone signs them, and we do videos. So it's totally changed. It's a 180 from where we used to be.
What you're trying to say is you remember, and it was an infamous day. It was not a great day. You get shoved into a room to watch videos all day. Not
when I got out of the office, it was awesome because Rick and Mike taught me a lot, and along with the rest of the crew, that was the one thing that I realized, being as much talent was on that floor with Randy, with Lisa, with Richard, Dwayne, Mario, Xavier, all these guys. There was a ton of talent. So my goal was to become a thief of knowledge and take something from everyone and then make it my own.
That's great. And so let's talk about the store's conversion in 2015. So you've been with us now at this point a little bit over a year. And so what did you learn about yourself, your fellow memory makers, about the company, and about resiliency in 2015 during the year where we really struggled for the first half of the year before we kind of turned it around?
It was scary, honestly. I was still trying to figure out this sales game, and seeing everybody, almost panic to a degree. Seeing the people, the customers coming in and fussing, where's my stuff? And that was hard. And I took a ton of cancellations, so a lot. And I'm paying child support. I've got to put a roof over my head, and the paychecks weren't there. So there was a moment in my life that I had to make a decision, another pivot, prove it moment. Do I leave, or do I stay with this company? And I chose the company because I believed in you. I believed in several of the other leaders. Tim Denzer, he come to visit me. I had to take a loan out. And my credit was garbage because after losing my restaurant and everything, so I had to make a decision. So I went for it.
Well, it's I don't even know what to say to that. Although we said during that time we felt horrible about what happened, and thank you for sticking with us and being patient so that thanks for giving us the grace that we would later reciprocate. But I know that was painful. We had to just prove it to everyone else that we could turn it around. And we did.
We all did. Absolutely.
We all did.
This is an awesome company.
So you've been with us over 8 years now, and you began on the sales floor, and now you're leading multiple stores, and we're going to talk about that. But what year did you first achieve the $1 million memory maker threshold?
That would be 2017.
Okay, so in 14, 15, and 16, you were not. So
Well, 14, I was in the top 5.
Okay.
If we'd included Dash, I would say I would have been there.
Okay. Well, but you clearly, after 4 years, hit another gear. So what was the difference for you that year in achieving the goal for the first time?
Belief in sleep and belief in VIP.
VIP. Sleep
Absolutely.
and VIP.
Yeah.
2 critical pillars. So now, and then you took on this, you said you followed Renee in her leadership to Pineville, and you became a sales manager, which is right. It's the before you get into like store management, general management, is that you're still selling, but you've got elevated responsibilities and bonusable programs and things of that nature. And so, was that when you became a sales manager for the first time? Was that in Pineville, 2017? Absolutely.
I wanted it before that, but I wasn't ready. I disagreed with the upper management at that time, but also is another pivot point in my career here. I had to look in the mirror. It's like, why didn't they select me?
Yeah.
And own some things. And I did, and worked at it. So the opportunity presented itself. I was offered a shot to come over to the Pineville store to fill in, and crushed it. I think I wrote like 45,000 in 3 days. And Renee brought me in the room, and wanted to know if I wanted to become a sales manager, and I said, heck yeah, I was all for it.
Yeah, I think there's really something when a sales manager can't just see themselves as an individual contributor. Like there's a difference between being an individual contributor where you're just self-responsible to being, a leader, and now you're responsible for others, right? And there's
absolutely.
that mindset shift.
Yeah, I mean, as a sales manager, you're the leader on the floor. You take the message from the GM and you carry it out on the floor,
right.
And you're in the trenches with them. So it's important that you understand that and honor that, and go after it.
That's right. And as a general manager, you want people who are speaking from the same voice as you.
Absolutely.
The unified voice.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn about leadership when you started serving as a sales manager?
It was tough. It's hard juggling both sales and doing that. But I love teaching. I love coaching. So it was giving me that ability to kind of show what I had and grow people. And that's the one thing about this company that I love. I mean, we grow amazing people.
That's right. We always say we'll grow as far as our people will take us.
Absolutely.
Or not. So we better grow our people and have growth-minded people. So how did being a sales manager prepare you for being an all-star general manager?
It gave me the concept of what it took to become or to get to the next level. So it's a grind. You work long hours. You deal with similar issues that a GM deals with when they're off, and you got to carry that message constantly and make sure that you're doing training as well, just like the GM. So that was the foundation that set me up for the next role.
Yeah, and the next role was really going to take over at Hickory. I remember when you interviewed, and you got to take every interview with a grain of salt, because it's really knowing the person and knowing what they're made of and knowing what they've been through. And so I won't surprise you. You're probably not the best interviewer, but and so there's a little bit of debate in the room, but they're not in my heart, not in my mind. Like Chris is going to be fine. He's a leader. He's not going to go back to old Chris. It's a new Chris. He's really, really focused. Look what he just did in Mooresville. And I'm fully confident. And as an owner, that's what you want. You want that confidence in your leaders. I had total confidence. And then look what you did for 13 months in Hickory. Was really remarkable. That store really took off under your leadership. So tell us about your 13-month experience in Hickory with the hour-and-a-half commutes and et cetera, et cetera.
Again, it was a grind. But I was willing to do it. At first I was like, can I do this? So I was questioning myself. But Renee was awesome far as just always being there in the background, and she always picked up the phone like she does for everybody. So if any questions, any doubt, she coached me out of it. And then I just went for it. The first evaluation that I noticed at the store is they didn't know how to win. Their product knowledge was not where it needed to be. So I knew what I had to do was not draw a line in the sand. I had to dig a ditch and just go after it and prove it to them. So
we got to say that again. He knew he didn't, as a new leader of a store, you didn't have to draw a line in the sand. You had to dig a ditch. To unpack that a little bit more, that's a really good one.
Just them they didn't know how to win. So going after it and just building this thing from the ground up is what I had to do. And I challenged some of the ways that they were running the store, with the help of Beth Queen, who was awesome. But just building the team fundamentally, understanding what product knowledge. I'm like, all right, well, I had to teach this whole crew about how to have a discussion with leather and how we dye, Foley aniline dyeing, teaching sleep. I remember having a meeting with the crew. I was noticing that, all right, sleep is just not catching here. So Saturday meeting, I asked the whole team, I was like, who can sell me sleep? And
crickets.
Nobody raised their hand, not even my sales managers. So I'm like, all right, we got some work to do. So I worked with Brian Cottle. We came up with a plan, and boom, we won the next 5 out of 6 months.
So you weren't afraid to ask introspective questions, and you went back to the basics. And
in my way, yes.
Yeah. No,
yes.
It's very introspective. So purpose begins with identity, and Hickory got a new identity during that time called the Hype. How did you come up with the Hype?
It was a book, High Performance Habits.
By Brendan Burchard?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Will, he was trying to, have you come up with your name yet? Have you come up with your name yet? And I was like, no. And he goes, well, where are you at? And I said, I'm kind of with this hype thing, but I don't know. We kept throwing around different ways to spell it, and we came up with HYPE, hype, and I owned it.
That was so good. And the little GIF or the image of the guy,
the mushroom.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Every time, we're on Voxer, and you would always, when you won the day or something, you post or had a big sale.
Absolutely.
That image gets posted.
Marketing.
Yeah, it's marketing for the store is so good. Okay, and so then your career continued to blossom, and you continued to grow, and you took over the reign. You got promoted to be the general manager in Kannapolis, and I think you took the Hype identity with you to
Absolutely.
Kannapolis, which is the first time I think maybe we've ever had a store switch identities. What can you tell us about your time in Kannapolis?
It was a tough transition. There was a lot of love for the former GM, Jeff LaFata, a.k.a. the Godfather, which I named him, by the way.
Did you?
It was tough. They were passionate. So the one thing that I knew that I had to do, dig another ditch, and a lot of it is prove it. We that's one of our words now, and get on the floor and show that I care by fighting for their sales, and show that I care by saving their sales. So that is exactly what I did, and it was quick. They fell right in, and we went after it.
You said you won Yoda the first month.
Absolutely. I was blown away how quickly they collaborated and started working together under my leadership. I was so proud of them.
Instant hype. And then I think we talked earlier, and so after, I don't know, a year, 8 months at Kannapolis, we had an opening, and you got promoted back. You brought it full circle to being
back home.
You came back home to what was then the Unstoppables, and we'll talk about renaming it, but you went back to the university store.
Same thing.
Which was a newly remodeled. You came back home, but it was a freshly remodeled store.
Which was awesome to be able to walk through those doors again and see the changes. I loved it. I loved what the visual team did. They do an amazing job, by the way. So that was exciting. And still having some of the old team members still there. Dwayne and Richard, Antoine. Those guys were there, so I knew it was easier this time because they had my back, and that's the first thing Dwayne and Antoine told me. They had my back.
That's awesome. And so from your performance in the general manager role, at some point either in Kannapolis or university, you earned maybe even before you earned a spot on the RPC, the Retail Performance Council. So what is the RPC, and what did that designation mean to you?
Well, I mean, it's a committee, Retail Performance Committee, and they take the best of the best performing GMs in the company, which a little bit of imposter syndrome I was going through. I was like, do I really fit here? Have I really earned this? Because such admiration that I had for the other GMs in the room. So I had to learn and understand that I earned that right, and that took a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
And so you were on this committee, and but you did earn the right.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we do get that self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, but like you fully had earned the right. Your career
yes, sir,
growing, and then it continued to grow. So now let's talk about multi-unit leadership and scale. So you've gone from, hey, I can be the number 2 to the GM really well as a sales manager. I can be a GM really well in 3 different stores and have instant success and sustained success in all 3 of them. Can I do it at a multi-store level? So now you're an area manager and you oversee 3 stores: University, Kannapolis, and Albemarle. And,
yes, sir.
And so, and that's just started, I think, this year, right?
Yes, sir.
Beginning
yes,
of this
sir.
year. So your span of influence and impact has grown as well as your oversight. So what has been the biggest challenge in taking the leap from oversight over a single store to multiple stores?
Well, when you're, as a GM or a sales manager, able to impact things immediately. As an area manager, you have to pick and choose your battles. Mm-hmm. And that was tough. I mean, I'm still learning. Mm-hmm. I go to Renee for everything because she has the knowledge. But also, with being in SRL with in those meetings and listen to what Chris Wright has to say, Ray, Kevin,
SRL, Senior Retail Leadership.
Absolutely. You be a sponge. You're a sponge in those rooms and those calls, and take all those learnings and apply it back.
So it sounds like when you started on the sales floor, you said you were going to be a thief of knowledge from the top performing sales producers, and now it's the same thing. You're going to be a thief of knowledge from the other multi-site leaders.
Learn from the best.
There you go. It's great. It's really simple, right? I'm gonna learn from the best, and I'll apply it and remix it and put it into and blend it into my own version. So how have you been able to scale your impact?
I don't know. They follow. That was the one thing. We had some early calls with the team. I told them my plan is I want us to be the foundation for everything that is right in the North. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was my goal, and that goal has won me the multi-unit award twice so far this year.
That's awesome.
Proud of the team. Proud of the grit, the fight to get better. They constantly challenge themselves. So I love that out of the GMs. I love that out of the sales managers, and including to the HFCs.
And you've got some great REMs and great operational excellence. I think
yes.
You look at like Ted and University and Albemarle. I mean, they're going back and forth for Gandalf, and Molly's support has been instrumental. Here's
the thing. Without them, I was so blessed to be able to work around Kelly Jones. That's one of the best in the company. And then Beth Queen. Beth Queen is Mama Bear. And don't cross Mama Bear.
Yeah.
You're going to do it right. And then Molly. Molly is amazing. She's a friend. Every one of these wonderful ladies are friends. Ted has grown. He's a powerhouse. And they're all amazing. They're not afraid to stick to their guns and make sure things end up going right. One for me, they cover the GM's blind side, so they allow us to be able to focus on the sales side on the floor. And when you have a great REM, it's beautiful.
But also, I think when your GM thinks that you're amazing, it's probably a good feeling too.
I believe in collaboration with the REMs. You work together, and it ends up being powerful.
That's awesome. So how has organization and time management been, how important have those been to your success as you've grown and scaled your leadership impact?
It's something that I've had to learn. I would probably nickname myself control chaos at times. Learning that, it was a conversation I had with Kevin Kidman. That said he puts everything on a calendar. He writes everything down. So utilizing that with our system, the digital on our calendar, paying attention to that and making sure that I'm looking at it every day, if not several times a day. So it's crucial.
Yeah, I think throwing things on the calendar and scheduling your day, allowing it to be that disciplined. Yeah, even if it's like I'm a scheduled time to be on the sales floor, it's part of it. Okay, let's press pause for a second, and let's say that you've done your time at the river. You're hanging up your retail cleats, and you're retiring. You're sitting back on your front porch, drinking whatever your beverage of choice is, and reflecting on the good old days. And there's 3 words that someone can use to describe you and what you've meant to them, or your legacy. What do you want those 3 words to be?
Gritty, passionate, and a winner.
Gritty, passionate, winner. Those are beautiful words. And I think that personifies who you are. Gritty, passionate, winner. And so that's Chris Berrier in a nutshell. I feel like that little icebreaker helps get to know people a little bit better. Okay, so you've worked for some amazing leaders. You've talked about Renee, and you talked about your REMs, who you get to work with. And tell us about the impact some of those leaders have had.
Renee, she took the time to figure out who I was and what I was about. And I probably would say I was a blob of clay, and she was able to get me dialed in and get me focused and get me to believe in myself as much as anything. So I owe her a lot. Beth Queen, when I first started, learning all this stuff, I was running by my gut, and she just took care of the rest. So I didn't have to worry about any of the administrative stuff. She got, I got you. And we worked on trust. I remember at first she didn't, because she's had so many GMs run through that store. So the one thing I remember coming in to the back door, and she's doing inventory count of mattresses, and she's up on a ladder. And I was like, this woman's had a heart attack. What in the world is she doing up on a ladder? And that's when I made my decision that I'm going to help her. I went and rearranged that whole back area, got it where everything was organized, because from the restaurant background, I believe when you have inventory organized, it's easier to keep up with, and things run tight. So when I did that, I earned her trust. And it goes to Molly, and Molly was amazing, same thing. But far as salesmen, I would say Dwayne Baker. Dwayne Baker, when I first started, I admired that cat so much. I mean, he was awesome. He was I nicknamed him Silk, I think, after about 3 days, because he was so smooth with guests. Lisa Griffin. Lisa was like a mother to me as well, and a grandmother to my kids. She was all the time baking treats, Lily treats, and always sending me home on Wednesday when I was going to pick my kids up, or Tuesday afternoon, and with a bag of treats for each of them. Yeah. So that was so special.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. I mean, you've had the opportunity now to lead, guide, mentor, and direct fellow memory makers, right? And to see them grow, prosper, and thrive. So I'm sure you've got some. Can you share some of your favorite personal growth and development stories of folks who you've led?
The first one, and the one I'm most proud of is Lydia Whitelaw. That's when I was at the GM last year. And I started in April, and here's this gal. I knew she had worked in the restaurant bar industry, so there was a connection there. And she was very timid and shy, not sure, didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, well, I got to get this. I got to get this lady dialed in if she's going to make it. And I remember having a couple conversations. I said, do you trust me? She didn't have a choice not to. I said, so if you learn one thing right now, that's VIP, because VIP makes everything easy.
We've come full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And so she goes on to, I remember, and she had started on the floor around mid-April writing, and goes into May and just obliterates it. She like 220,000 in sales. Led the company in VIP
As a brand new HFA.
I was just blown away.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, everything I say she just does and it works. I was like, man, she's making me look brilliant. Yeah. So that was awesome. Some of my sales managers, Jay at Kannapolis, I'm seeing him grow, and it's awesome to watch. And that now under Sean Davis's tutelage, but massive changes with him.
That's great.
Dan Pashala, just being able to work with this guy and learn so much off of him. But we were able to help each other. He taught me a lot of things, but just keeping him in check, mentally focused. I love his friendship. Probably don't get to talk to him like I should. He gives me a lot of beef about that sometimes. But here's the thing. With all these guys, you become a family. Jamar Ray, I miss that guy. I got to see him during the sales manager sleep summit that we had last couple of days, and just seeing him again, because COVID, took away that ability for us to meet up, and the only way we got to communicate was over the phone. That's different. Being able to see and give that guy a hug was awesome.
That's really, really cool. So our word of the year is thrive. What does it mean for you to thrive?
This company has allowed me to change my life. It's allowed me to reach a lot of goals financially. Allowed me to be able to give my kids a better life. Be able to do things for them that I couldn't years ago. So that part. Far as on the retail side, I own it. We got this mission to hit 300 million, so we can distribute out that $3,000 to every memory maker, and we're talking from the ones that build the furniture in our warehouses, the ones that clean, and I own that, and I'm fighting every day to make sure that we reach that goal.
Yeah, that's the big, thriving, audacious goal.
Absolutely.
So what advice would you offer to someone else to help him or her thrive this year?
Trust the process.
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely. And trust our leaders. Our leaders, we care about each other. We collaborate. And that's what I love about this company.
So of all the Orange Crush tours and summits and RX meetings and the gala and everything else, what have been some of your best memories, or just the everyday mundane on the sales floor, right? What have been some of your best memories at the River?
The best memories of the River. I remember starting out at the U, and this is when Rick and Michael were running the show, and we would, if we hit the Triple Crown, so the Triple Crown for us was hitting revenue to budget, diamond care, and sleep. So if you hit that, we would break bread on Saturday morning, and have breakfast, and everybody would. It was a potluck style, so everybody would bring something. So being able to do that, you get closer that way. So I believe that. Orange Crush, my first one as a GM, up in Hickory. I had to do that thing on maybe an hour of sleep because when I was staying at the hotel, because I had an hour and a half drive both ways. Scared to death. Is this thing going to be right? And I passed.
You got it. Do you recall Purpose 828 or the gala in January 2020? Anything about either of those two events?
Purpose 828, seeing Inky Johnson, seeing how Childress was affected by that. was awesome. I was still trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
I was in that, do I belong here? Where do I go from this? So figuring out my purpose, and I did.
Awesome. And so you just recently attended the Purpose Summit at the University of Notre Dame with like 16 of us. What impact did that event have on you?
I was blown away by the leaders and how much they care. Every one of them had a story about the way they cared for their employees, and seeing a lot of things that we do here with this company. I'm like, we're on the right path. Getting to meet several of the speakers was awesome, and getting to be able to go out on the field of Notre Dame and
cool.
see that gorgeous campus, because I am a sports junkie. I will not lie. So that was awesome.
That's pretty cool. Do you have a favorite quote or quotes that inspire you or guide you?
It's simple. Seize the day.
Seize
Carpe
the day.
diem.
Love it. Carpe diem. Because I like win the day, and that's the same thing. Win the
absolutely.
day, seize the day. Okay. COVID and the pandemic. What was it like in the early days of the pandemic, if you can go back there, like second quarter of 2020?
Well, I remember that call, which was scared to death when that emergency call came with the GMs, and hearing the things that you had to say, and the plan about furloughs, and there was a conversation that came up about do we put the GMs back on the sales floor? And I remember speaking up, and I remember saying that I disagree with that. I said, this may get me fired, but I said, I'm not doing that. I refuse. The biggest reason why I thought was because the HFCs were 100% commission, and we're getting a base salary. I said, I can't take food off their table. I couldn't. So going through that and seeing how we adjusted, your leadership, Stacy coming on board, his leadership, it was awesome, because you kept us in line, you kept us focused, and you gave us hope. And that was important.
Sometimes that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Besides keeping everyone safe, right, and keeping the ship safe. And so what have you achieved over the last 2 years that you're really proud of, or that you'll look back on fondly? We've come through just about the other side of the pandemic. So I'm certain if you just took the last 2 years, which your leadership is really growing over these last 2 years, what are you going to look back on, be either really proud of or look back on fondly?
Winning Yoda at 2 different locations, being able to grow into a leader and now a multi-unit leader, is something I didn't think I would be able to do. I didn't think it was in me. Thanks to a special person in my life that's here at this company. I'm not going to repeat her name again. She'll probably get me. But having that, and then being able to transfer that to our HFCs, and teach that they can do it. You can overcome anything if you just put your mind to it and go after it.
That's awesome. So what have you achieved? What have you learned about yourself since you've been a memory maker with us now nearly 9 years that has surprised even you? Something you've been able to accomplish that has surprised even you?
That I'm able to not be so judgmental. That I've grown, learning to listen more instead of opening my mouth first, and that's helped me a lot, I think.
I think that's a really good leadership trait, and we've learned that from like Bob Chapman and Chapman and Company leadership training, and just the art of listening, which is sometimes a lost art in America these days, can do so much for leadership and the ability to build trust with people, hear what's really going on the front lines, and cascade impact throughout the team that you're trying to lead.
Oh, absolutely. God gave us one mouth and 2 ears for a reason.
That's right. And I've had others on this podcast, talk about that. And anyways, so did you expect to achieve this level of success with Broad River?
No. I was, my passion was in food, in the restaurant, and I had to kind divert and adapt and change. The one thing that I knew that I was good at was engaging with people, and it's something that I enjoyed. So I was able to transfer that into this business and learn it and become really good at it.
Yeah. So if you had to say what your superpower is, what do you think is your superpower?
P2I.
And so what? So P2I is
position to impact, and that's the impact to sale. That's the impact. If you have an upset guest, that it's like Stacy talks about. We don't know what's going on in that customer's day. They could have just lost a loved one, or just got fired, or whatever, and it's our job. But position impact, far as with our HFCs, and teaching them to overcome objections, to just be a better person, grow.
Yeah, having awareness, being like you're a sports guy, so being like the middle linebacker or the
head on a swivel.
Head on a swivel. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I've visited you in Hickory, and I remember you didn't really have a whole lot of time to talk to me, which is great. I mean, I'm not going to get offended. Or while you were talking to me, your head was like this. You knew everything that was going on, every guest interaction in the store, and you knew what was going. So you were active and watching and monitoring, and that is yours. I can very much see.
I can't stop it to this day. I was doing it yesterday. We were talking on the phone, and I saw this guest. I was like, man, this is taking too long. And and it was a new HFC, and they were doing an application and a little bit of struggling. So I jumped in and helped them, and it was a sweet old couple. I love older couples. The elderly, they're awesome because they have so much wisdom. So just jumped in there and helped them out, and he got the sale, so it was awesome.
That's great. With your impact,
Absolutely.
You were in the position to impact. Head on a swivel and your ears are open, right? So you've had a front row seat over the last several years of Broad River Retail, and since you've joined us, how has the company grown, adapted, and changed, in your opinion?
We're all about our people, and that consistency of growing, and it's always being about helping our HFCs, anybody involved at whatever level in this company. The collaboration has always been there, which is awesome, and just the caring. And I know that comes from you and Manny. And it just filters down through the company.
Well, and so that's, I guess, what you would say has remained constant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we talked about, you mentioned several people earlier. Are there any other unsung heroes who help you, who you haven't had a chance to mention, or did you capture it? Bill Jones, $1 million bill. $billion bill or $1 million bill.
$1 million bill, yeah. That guy, he had my back when I came back into the U, and just let him know what type of person I was. And I admire that guy. He fought through COVID. He actually got it. It almost took him out. And his grit and fight, he's back on the floor. And it's awesome to see. And he's a wonderful friend. Yeah.
That's great to hear. So what advice would you give a new hire starting on the sales floor today?
Breathe. Be patient. And definitely follow the process. Trust your leaders.
Yeah. The process is proven, it works.
Absolutely.
And it's there for a reason. And like Lydia did that you talked about. So, and now you can point to her success and say, hey, she did this. And,
oh, yes, I do.
So what do you believe are the critical qualities or characteristics that most contribute to success on the sales floor? Like, what do you look for?
Hungry. The ability to multitask. So the way they're able to process information, when I'm doing an interview, hearing just the way their mind thinks, is what I listen for. And what I look for in HFC, because this job, there are on the sales side, there's so many layers to it, and there's so much to remember and process. And oh, by the way, you got to talk to a guest.
That's right.
So there's a lot of things that you're juggling in your mind. So you're always having to think, and this is probably from the restaurant business why I was able to figure this out. You're always juggling things, and you're thinking 3 steps ahead. So this is the challenge that I do, or the questions that I ask during an interview is what I'm looking for.
Playing chess, not checkers.
There you go.
Yeah. So if you could go back to your first day at the river, what would you tell your younger self about what life is going to be like?
Breathe, stay patient, and listen to the ones that have been there and what they've done. Listen to them a little bit more and trust them a little earlier.
Okay. Might make your life a little bit easier, faster.
My blood pressure would probably have been lower at that time too.
All right. And what is your favorite thing about our culture here at the river? And what do you think makes it special?
Well, I mean, we're a performance-driven company always, but we care so much about our people.
Does that drive the performance? Does caring for our people drive
absolutely.
the performance?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story that happened with me. So I was hit by a car. I had to have brain surgery, and I have debilitating type situation with my disc. So I have 11 of them that are bad.
This is why you were working with us.
Oh, yeah. I was taking a lot of pain pills during work just to get through it. Not abuse, but just to deal with the day because I was in so much pain. And it got to the point I picked up some in my neck, and it got so bad that I could not even think. So my boss at that time, Renee, took me to the hospital. She listened to me scream all the way to the hospital. She watched them hit me with about 6 to 7 doses of morphine, and it didn't touch it. So, thanks to her, they admitted me. And then they stepped it up to Dilaudid. And I was still at a 10. I was just excruciating pain. I come out of the surgery, and a Tempur-Pedic and Power Base show up at my house. And there's a few. One of them's Renee that pitched in to make sure that happened, and that's what this company does. We did it last Christmas. We put names on a tree, or not the names, but what the actual items that the kids in the family needed. And this company pitched in, and it's awesome. I mean, we do charity work with, we're connecting with Beds for Kids and seeing what they do and how much they care about people. It's amazing. The men's shelter, the North, our stores, we make sandwiches once a month, and knowing what that does for somebody that's wondering where their next meal is going to come from, it means a lot. It means a lot.
I was going to ask you, what is something that happens here that doesn't happen at other companies, but I think you just answered that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know that for sure.
So what is one thing about Broad River that you think would surprise others from the outside looking in?
We are who we say we are.
Yeah.
And just the compassion that we have for each other, the willingness to help each other, I think just goes a long way. And, we walk the walk and talk the talk.
Okay, so what is something about you that would surprise your fellow memory makers?
I love to cook.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What type of food?
You name it.
Okay.
I've done everything.
Let's go get some good Italian food.
I can do it.
Yeah. Barbecue, maybe?
I love barbecue.
Steaks?
Started in barbecue. My kids would argue that Dad makes the best steak anywhere.
Love it. Love it. Okay, we're getting off track here. Let's get back on the rails. If you could change one thing about the company today with the wave of a magic wand, what would it be?
Less emails.
That's a good one.
But strategically, having a bat phone in every department, where if there's a situation that needs to be addressed now, that it happens.
Yeah, got it. So let's say that I decided to retire and you're moving on up and you've done a great job. We're going to give you the keys to the company. You're the new president and CEO of Broad River Retail. Today's your first day in your new role. What would be the first order of business, Chris?
Go to a cloning company and clone you and Manny. Promote Renee, for sure. That would be it. I mean, and absolutely Stacy and Carl Hillesland. These guys, everybody, they're amazing. And we're blessed to have them in this company.
Awesome. So final question, to someone who is not a memory maker and they're watching this video or they're listening to this podcast and they're thinking about coming to the river, what advice would you offer to that person?
Listen, be patient, and come on.
Come on. Hey, I got a surprise for you, Chris. So I asked someone who's a little bit special to you to tell me about Chris Berrier. Do you mind if I read it?
Sure.
We'll call this our outtake section. So this is from Renee Bradley. So Chris and I started a few days apart and were in the same training class. We almost immediately bumped heads. Now he is my right arm, and I couldn't or wouldn't want to do this without him. Chris and I were sitting side by side in Mooresville when he was presented the opportunity to be the RPM in Hickory. He was so nervous. He looked at me, I nodded, and he signed. I told him that day, quote unquote, "You will be my boss one day." And look at him now. He is more than on his way, and I am so incredibly proud of him. Chris has been described as a diamond in the rough, but I would tell you he is polished in the ways that matter the most. Chris is a true servant leader. For me, he gives unwavering support that gives me the confidence to step out of my comfort zone, pushes me to work hard, and helps me reach my goals. He has taught me so much about trust, partnership, and authenticity. He is someone who selflessly pours into others and celebrates their wins big and loud. Today, I want to do that for him. I am beyond grateful for him and so proud of him. That's from Renee. Hey, Chris, thanks for coming on the podcast. Any final words?
Let's go thrive.
Let's go thrive. Hey, thanks for listening in. This has been Chris Berrier, area manager here. And what is your area known as?
We are the Supernovas.
The Supernovas. Hey, join us every Wednesday. We drop fresh new content, fresh new episodes for you guys. Listen wherever you're listening or watching. We're on YouTube, Amazon, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thanks so much, Chris.